morning and welcome to Rise and Unwind Raleigh. I'm Kayla and this is the show where we talk entertainment and lifestyle. We've got local stories, helpful tips, and a few surprises along the way. This week we've got this.
And I hate to say it, but the mullet has never left. It's just been modified.
The key is upskilling and frankly not to overthink it. No matter where you are on your AI skill set, there's always more to learn.
All that and more right here on a show we like to call Rise and Unwind Raleigh.
A parent's worst nightmare is not knowing the truth about what happened to their child. That's the mystery at the center of Netflix's new thriller, I Will Find You. The series follows a father serving time for his son's murder who suddenly receives evidence that his child may still be alive, setting off a desperate search for answers. Today, we're joined by Milo Ventimiglia, who stars as Hayden in the limited series. Welcome to the show, Milo. How are you?
Well, Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm doing good. For people who haven't started I Will Find You yet, what grabbed you about this story and made you want to be part of it?
The complexity, as well as, being a parent myself and God forbid anything happens to your child, you're going to go to the ends of the earth to find out what's going on and hopefully get your kid back to safety. But, I found a lot of common ground with Harlan Coben and Robbie Hull, our showrunner, and was excited to do scene work with Sam Worthington and Britt Lauer and Jonathan Tucker and Logan Browning and everybody involved. Shot McBride, who, it's funny, like in my 30 years of filmmaking, like I've been on set with just about everybody on the cast to work, to be reunited and work again. So it's just go spend a summer with my friends making something cool.
Hayden becomes involved in a mystery that's filled with twists and secrets. What can you tell us about your character and where he fits into this story?
So Hayden Payne, I play a wealthy philanthropist who was previously connected to Britt Lauer's character, Rachel, who is the previous sister-in-law, former sister-in-law to David, Sam Worthington's character. When he breaks out of prison and goes on the hunt for his son, I come into the fold as someone who's just wanting to help. I'm there to help, use my resources, my time, whatever I can to help this man find his son.
And the series, it balances suspense, family drama, and a lot of emotional stakes. What was it like bringing those different elements together as an actor?
We're constantly doing that, role to role, job to job, show to show. You're always bringing together that complexity. But, this one was delicate because of what we were set to dance around, the real mystery, the people that were involved in this covering up of a boy who was killed. It was just a complex role, but it was, very exciting to be a part of.
Okay, so without giving anything away, what do you think audiences will be talking about after they finish I Will Find You?
Never saw it coming. God, that was fun. I think I want to watch it again to see if I can figure out if they tipped their hat in any way in the beginning of the show. It's just a great ride. It's entertaining, self-contained, and a lot of heart.
Hey, I want to thank you for being here today. I Will Find You is now streaming on Netflix. You can find the series and watch all the episodes at netflix.com or on your Netflix app. Hey, Milo, I want to thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thanks, Dave.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to bring out one of the most beloved family stories ever told to a new generation? Little House on the Prairie is now streaming on Netflix, introducing the Ingalls family to longtime fans and first-time viewers alike. Today, we're joined by Luke Bracey and Crosby Fitzgerald, who play Charles and Caroline Ingalls. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks for having us.
I'm doing great. My mom was a huge fan of Little House on the Prairie, so I just grew up watching all of the old shows. And it has meant so much to generations of readers and viewers. What was your first reaction when you found out that you'd be playing Charles and Caroline Ingalls?
Oh, I sort of screamed and cried, I think. Yeah, it's daunting, but it was extremely exciting because I loved the scripts and I really trusted the creators of the show and was ready to sort of take on this new approach to the literature.
Yeah, I was thrilled to play this character of Charles because I just saw kind of a wonderful story and a good man. And I think the world needs nice stories about people trying to be good people and trying their best in a hard world and realizing that they need their family and they need their community. And, that was the real thrill for me when it came to this job. It's a nice story about people trying their best and not always succeeding and not being perfect. I just thought that was a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful story to have the privilege of being a part of.
And this series honors the original stories while creating something fresh for today's audience. How did each of you guys approach making these iconic characters your own?
I think, you know, I wanted to honor what was in the books and kind of what we know of Caroline vaguely, but I also was really excited to sort of see her as a human who is flawed and complex and, you know, it has a lot of room to grow. And that's what I loved about the script, I think. And there was a lot in the script that I got to play with, I think, in learning about Caroline as a full person who's, you know, a wife and a mother is just two of the many things that she is. And I love how the script did that in these stories.
And one of the things people have always loved about Little House on the Prairie is that it celebrates family while never shying away from the realities of frontier life. What do you think audiences will connect with most in this new adaptation?
I think they might connect with the fact that life's always been difficult. You know, life's difficult now, and life was difficult then, and life's going to be difficult in the future. But if you've got good people around you and you're trying to be a good person, you've got good kind of core of people helping each other, be that family or community or friends or whatever it is, that's where you really succeed in life, rather than just doing it yourself. No one really makes it by just doing it themselves. I think that might be something that people take from it. It takes a village to get far in life. It's really hard to just be a one-man band and try and break through the realities of the world, which are that there's things that are going to come and try and drag you down. And without other people around you, you won't get through them.
And whether someone grew up with the books or the original television series or experienced Little House on the Prairie for the very first time, what do you hope they take away from this version?
I think it's such a great, it takes a greater view of the prairie and of the frontier. I think that's what's really excited about our series. And I don't know, there is something timeless about looking at history through the eyes of a child, because we have children all the time that are experiencing life now, and it will one day be history. And I think it's really important to see, you know, history in sort of through the lens of a child in a sort of an aspirational way that we can all kind of learn from.
Yeah, there's hope there, right? Yeah. There's hope that even though life is tough, it can be you can make it through the tough times. I think that's what children always have. They can see that life might be hard, but they always see out the other side of it somehow. They have to.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Little House on the Prairie is available now to stream on Netflix. Luke, Bracey, Crosby Fitzgerald, I want to thank you two for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having us. Good to talk to you.
So what would you do if someone from your past came back to turn your life upside down? That's the chilling idea behind Cape Fear, the new psychological thriller that's been keeping viewers on edge. Joining us today are Collias Malia Pyles, who play Natalie Bowden and Nevaeh Valentine in the series. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Hey, we're
good.
How are
happy
you?
to be here.
Very happy to be here.
Cape Fear is packed with suspense, but it's also very character-driven. What drew each of you to your characters?
I think the fluidity of her arc, for me personally, I think Natalie is the kind of girl who didn't ever have to second guess things in her life. And it was so interesting to play someone that, like, I don't think it's calculated whatsoever, because, you know, the circumstances are so specific that playing with what she's feeling even on that day or like that night, like, because she's just finding out new things every single day. It was just such a blessing.
Yeah. I love Natalie so much.
She loves Nevaeh.
I know. And we love each other.
What can we say?
I mean, with Nevaeh, it was similar, where it's like, it was pretty obvious right off the bat that she's like a deeply complex character. And I so value Nick, our showrunners and our creators, writing. I mean, just based off her name too, Nevaeh is literally heaven backwards. I was like, there's an immediacy to, I'm like, there's an attention to detail and a style to this show that's like really intriguing to me. And, you know, I never had the opportunity to play a character that's so villainous at times. And, you know, I think that was such a cool person to be in step with for so many months.
Without giving anything away, your characters develop an interesting friendship. What was it like building that relationship together on set?
I mean, it's so easy because Malia as a person is someone that I connect with. I'm so grateful to call her like one of my best friends now. We really like had each other's backs, and you know, we go through some intimate things together as characters, and the fact that we would be able to go home together and discuss and kind of just like throw ideas to a wall together was just like such a blessing, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is play. So it was just so fun to have that relationship with you.
Yeah, there was like an immediacy there. I mean, we met in the car and we were just both like completely vibrating with energy, and it was really easy to get to fall in love with these characters and then fall in love with her in a lot of ways. I mean, like she said, we'd go home from work after these crazy long days and like watch movies together and then bring parts of those movies into work the next day and be like, hey, can we bring this to our characters? And so, I mean, it was in a lot of ways just like a great lesson in trust and building something that feels at times like greater than just like the work you're putting out.
The series has such an incredible cast, including Javier Bardem, Amy Adams, Patrick Wilson. What did you learn from working alongside actors like that?
So much every single day. I think at the core of it is to put things that are genuinely important in your life first, and your artistry comes alongside with your life. And they were just always so grounded and humble with their ways of teaching. And you know, I think like Javier feels like very almost like dreamlike in his process, and Amy's super technical. You know, everyone just like brought different things to the table, and I feel like it all just like mixed so well together.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like doing a horror beat with Patrick Wilson when you get to be the creepy thing behind his shoulder. I'm like, I feel like I'm in Insidious. Like, it's so cool.
I love making this perfect, gorgeous man go through hell.
Hey, I want to thank you two for joining me today. Cape Fear is streaming now on Apple TV with new episodes released every Friday. Malia, Lily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye.
Have you ever rooted for two characters to finally figure it out, even though life keeps getting in the way? That's a big part of what has fans coming back to Ransom Canyon. Season 2 picks up 6 months later, and with more questions about love, family, and what home really means. Joining us are the stars of the series, Josh Duhamel and Minka Kelly. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Thank you.
Good to have you.
Season 2 picks up 6 months after the finale without giving anything away. Where do we find Stanton and Quinn emotionally when we see them again?
Well, I think that, you know, if I could take that one, my character is definitely ready to treat this relationship with the care that it deserves. Because I think he realizes after having these 6 months away, he realizes that he probably could have made more of an effort, probably could have done things differently, could have called, could have wrote, could have gone to see her, didn't do any of those things. And I think that he really wants to right the wrongs of, you know, the past mistakes he's made in this relationship. And then he finds out very quickly after that she moved on, and it's too late, dude.
One of the big themes this season is choosing between the life you built and the life you dreamed about. Minka, what makes Quinn's decision so difficult this time around?
Well, you know, she was in New York for 6 months, and, you know, it's a little easier out of sight, out of mind to romanticize this new life that she could possibly live, and meets this new guy who on paper makes so much sense and says and does all the right things. And then she goes home as she'd always planned, and she's then faced with this new version of Stanton that she's wanted from him her whole life. And it's a little too late. So now she's in this predicament of, do I turn my back on this new thing that feels fresh and new and potentially promising, or do I take the opportunity, this chance to fulfill this dream of hers, you know, where she comes home, where she realizes that home isn't just this place, it's this person. And that just becomes so undeniable for her. And home is where the heart is.
And Josh, Stanton has always been driven by protecting his family's legacy, but this season seems to put love more at the center of his journey. How does that change him?
Well, I think that the two kind of go hand in hand. The ranch has been so part of him and his family for so long that he sort of conflates the two. Like, family, land, legacy are all kind of part of all he cares about, really. And when he loses, sorry, I took this hat from the set. I'm going to take it off. When he loses his family in season 1, he sort of loses his purpose and not really sure how he wants to go forward with the ranch. And I think that there's something happens along the way when I think it's after she leaves that he really realizes that he wants to share this with her. He doesn't want to go forward without having Quinn with him. And all of these things sort of come together to give him this purpose to keep going with the ranch and keep doing these things that he's done forever. And without her, there's not really much reason to keep doing it.
Also, the chemistry between the two of you has become one of the biggest reasons fans have embraced the show. What is it like continuing that relationship this season now that the stakes are even higher?
I think this season was really fun exploring this. It's a whole different sort of energy between the two of them. It's like she was gone and was able to just sort of, she went to play with the New York Phil and choose herself and live this new fun life out of sight, out of mind, and have some fun for a little while. And then she comes home to this new version of Staten where he's so light and charming and funny, and this is the love of her life. And so that new dynamic between them is really fun in season 2 to play with and to be genuinely charmed by. And so it's a big difference from season 1 and season 2 in that regard, I think, which is really fun.
Josh, Minka, I really want to thank you for hanging out with me today. Ransom Canyon Season 2 is now available to stream on Netflix. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Back to school season can get busy fast. One thing many families still have on the list is a fresh haircut. Astoria Stubbs is the National Design Team Lead for Great Clips, and she's here with tips to make it easier. Welcome, Astoria.
Thank you for having me this morning.
What haircut styles are the most popular for back to school this year?
So the 90s have rolled back around. We're seeing lots of curtain bangs, lots of face framing, lots of volume and texture within our girls' hair. The bob has never left. It's just added a little texture and volume to it. And for our boys, we're seeing taper fades, tapered blowouts, and I hate to say it, but the mullet has never left. It's just been modified.
And why do you think kids are choosing those styles?
Well, it's definitely from social media, pop culture, and athletes. Whatever they're seeing online, that's exactly what's trending and what they're bringing into the salon.
And what are some simple hairstyle tips that can make school mornings easier?
Well, first things first, working with the hair and not against the hair is always going to make life easier. So if your child has textured or curly hair, you want to make sure that you are getting a hairstyle or haircut that works with their hair. If it's straighter, adding a little bit of texture and movement to the hair so it makes it nice and easy and quick for them to get out the door in the morning.
And are there any affordable products that can help kids style their hair quickly while still looking sharp?
Of course. So for our boys that are wearing the taper blowouts, we definitely want to use a little bit of texture powder at the top to make sure they're getting that volume and that movement that they want. And if it want a little bit of hold throughout the day, you're going to use a little gel or mousse. And when I say a little goes a long way, it does. A dime size to a nickel size, even just a little pump is enough to give you hold throughout the day. And for our girls, making sure they use a little bit of leave-in conditioner or a little bit of curling cream or natural style to cut down on the frizz, but also add a little bit of movement to the hair.
And how can parents use a Great Clips app or other technology to save time at the salon?
Of course, Great Clips wants to take the fuss out of waiting, so we have our online check-in app. You just download the app. You can check in all the kiddos at once. Mom and dad can also get a haircut. And the great thing about it is it'll give you the exact time where you are, the wait list time, and then it'll give you a little notification to let you know when it's time for you to come in the salon. So no fuss, make it a little bit easier for you.
And where can people go to learn more?
Yeah, to learn more about our back to school tips or to download the Great Clips app, you go to greatclips.com/back to school.
Astoria, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing all these great tips.
Thank you so much for having me.
AI seems to be showing up in just about every job these days, and for a lot of people the question is how to keep up without getting left behind. The good news is you don't have to be a tech expert to start using these tools in practical ways. So joining us today is Paul Bingham, Senior Vice President and Executive Dean of Western Governors University School of Technology. Welcome to the show, Paul. How are you?
Doing great, Dan. Thanks.
Okay, for someone who just started to explore AI, what's the best way to begin using it responsibly in pretty much everyday work?
The key is upskilling, and frankly, not to overthink it. No matter where you are on your AI skill set, there's always more to learn. At Western Governors University, we believe that education can help move the conversation beyond the hype and fear that are so prevalent around AI these days. And if you're not already comfortable using AI, really the best advice is to jump in and start experimenting with it.
And what changes are you seeing in the workplace as AI is becoming part of more and more jobs?
Yeah, AI really is creating opportunity. History has shown us that new technologies always create new opportunities. The key to remember is that AI is changing the nature of jobs. Employers are looking for employees with an AI skill set, and the new technology is already creating new jobs. According to a recent LinkedIn report, AI engineer is the fastest growing job title this year.
When employers are hiring today, what skills stand out the most in an AI-driven workplace?
Employers are really looking for two things: people's ability and their adaptability. They want to know what prospective employees can actually do, not just what they know. This is why at WGU we are integrating immersive workplace-based learning into our courses so that our graduates can show employers what they can actually do, not just what they studied about in school.
If someone wants to stay competitive over the next few years, what's one or two things that they should start doing right now?
That's a great question. I'll give you 3 quick recommendations. And the first, it might seem like I'm kidding, but it's true. You just ask AI. I find it extremely helpful to engage with an AI platform like ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude, just to name a few. Tell them what my job is and what I'm trying to accomplish, and then ask, how can it help me? This is actually extremely effective. The second is to ask your peers how they're using AI. I always discover new ways to leverage AI when I hear how others are using it. And the third is to remain curious and flexible. This will help you with your judgment in knowing how and when to use AI. And if you're looking for a next step and want to develop a technical education or a technical engineering specialty, I'd recommend that you study AI engineering at WGU.
So what makes Western Governors University different when it comes to preparing students for the changing workplace?
Well, WGU was founded almost 30 years ago as a fully online university. So we've always been at the forefront of technology. With the nation's largest school of technology, our bachelor's and master's programs, as well as our skills-based certificates, can help you upskill and advance your technical skill set. Our programs are accredited, competency-based, and affordable, with many including popular tech certifications at no extra cost. Whether it's an AI-focused degree, such as our bachelor's in AI engineering, or any of our other technology programs, we can help you advance your AI skill set today.
All right, Paul, where can we go for more information?
Well, that's an easy one. Simply go to wgu.edu, and we'd love to tell you more.
Paul, I want to thank you for joining me today.
It was my pleasure. Have a great one.
We spend a lot of time talking about whether students are ready for the next grade or the next degree. But what about the next generation of jobs? In North Carolina, 52% of workers say they already feel underprepared for what's coming. So how do we close that gap? Amit Sevak is CEO of ETS. Amit, it's great to have you here with us. How are you?
Great, Dan. It's great to be on. It's back to school season. I'm looking forward to talking about how do we help get our kids future ready.
It's great to have you here. When you look at where education is today versus where the workforce is headed, are we actually preparing students for the jobs of tomorrow?
We could be doing a lot better. Foundational skills, math and reading, these are still really critical, but only about half of those kids entering middle school and about half of those kids entering high school are proficient in math or reading. So we've got to get the fundamentals right. In addition, we've got to figure out how to orient kids earlier to career opportunities, jobs of the future. That starts in middle school and early high school. And we got to start preparing students not to think when they're in high school just about graduating high school, but about readying themselves for the next phase of life. What are the kinds of skills that they want to pick up? And that's really what it's all about. So we've got our work cut out for us to get our kids ready for the next generation of jobs.
And AI is obviously changing the workplace quickly. How does that change what students need to learn now if they want to succeed later?
AI is changing a lot and moving fast in education. Now, done well, AI can help students prepare, give them feedback, get them personalized learning. Not done well, AI can become a crutch AI can replace critical thinking. It can become a substitute for learning, and it can foster more cheating. So we need to think about and establish more balanced, more responsible uses of AI in the classroom. And it's this moment, back to school time, that is a great time to start sparking these conversations as parents, as voters, as people interested in these topics, so that we ensure that we're safely and effectively using AI.
And we put a tremendous amount of money into education. How should states determine whether those investments are actually delivering results?
Dan, we in America spend $1 trillion, 1 trillion with a big T. And the return on investment, the return on that educational investment is really uneven. We've got some places where it's going well, some places where it's not going well. We've got to really hold ourselves accountable to a better return on investment. We got to focus on what are those investments that are helping kids get future ready, those human skills, measuring collaboration, critical thinking, measuring the effective use of AI in the classroom, strengthening math and reading for all kids. These are the kinds of investments with evidence that proves that they're really working that we need more of. This year is a particularly important year because education is on the ballot. 36 of the 50 states are right now electing a governor. This is a perfect opportunity for voters to say, hey, I want to see better use of the dollars for my state to help strengthen readiness for all my kids in this state.
So when we're talking about education reform, what role should accountability play?
So accountability has to do with measuring outcomes. So whether it's math and reading for a 4th grade, 8th grade, or 10th grade accountability measurement, it's important that we have some standards. At the same time, we can't be overly reliant on these accountability measures. We need to be thinking about how can we measure progress throughout the school year, and how can we ensure that teachers are at the center of these kinds of conversations. So we need to measure things, but we need to make sure the people in the loop, the adults in the room, are really engaged in the conversation so that we're not overly focusing on just the measurement and missing the fact that we're actually forming children to become successful adults.
And where can partnerships between public and private sectors help strengthen education and get students more workforce ready?
I think there's a lot of great types of partnerships that can help students get workforce ready. The reality is nonprofit organizations like us love partnering with states, with school districts, to really focus on what are the kinds of educational outcomes the leaders in that particular location are seeking. Organizations at the state level only have so much budget and so much time. So working with third parties can actually help boost things. But it's important that we're always measuring outcomes. We have to hold even partners accountable to ensure that they're delivering results, getting that work readiness that we want. But these partners have all kinds of experiences in job readiness and what's happening in the world of work that they can help school districts become more work ready.
All right, so where can people go for more information?
ETS.org, our website, and also our sister organization, ACT.org.
Amit, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Dan.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Rise and Unwind, Raleigh. Thanks so much for spending part of your day with us. Be sure to follow us on social media for even more fun between episodes, and join us again next week for another edition of Rise and Unwind, Raleigh.